If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name's Ray Johns. I'm your host, and the name of the show is Ray Johns, American Patriot. First and foremost, let me tell you that we're still working on the show. We had some legality problems, and we're working on those. We also have some problems with satellite and setting everything up, so bear with me. I tell you every week, we're going to do this thing. I have people coming up at the gym saying, when's the show? We're going to do it. I am definitely, I never give up. I'm kind of like Sir Winston Churchill. I never give up, and we're going to do this. I can't wait, because I want to do a dedication to women. Now, as to my American Patriot, last week, if you recall, it was Eddie Chapa, and this week it is also Eddie Chapa. And he has a family that's just, you can see him on the screen now, just a wonderful family with 7 kids. Eddie is just, he's a guy there in the black. You can see him in the black next to the lady in red, his wife, who has since passed away when he sent me that photo. And, you know, last week, me and some of the ball players, I rode up there with my co-captain, Ken Jones, who was a catcher. Ken is one of the best catchers ever to come out of this valley and ever to play at Fresno State. That's Eddie right there in the middle. Just a great, great man, and he's under the weather, and I hope you're watching today, Eddie. I hope your daughters have got you tuned in. I love you, buddy, and that was so much fun at your house. I thought we were just going to be there for a couple of hours, and we got up there, and baseball players started coming by, man, and we hugged Eddie, and we cried, and we told baseball stories. And I tell you, I don't know when I've enjoyed so much with a great group of guys. Mike Marin was there. He was our great center fielder. And coming from out of town was Steve Sidoti. Steve Sidoti, you can go on forever about Steve Sidoti. Steve Sidoti's the kind of baseball player that can do it all. He was a great first baseman, could hit the ball out of the park, and he threw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So what can you say? You know, he did everything. He's just one of our great pitchers, and probably one of the best baseball teams, and that includes Fresno State, that I've ever played on. I mean, just an outstanding team. We won 3 championships in a row, which is in the Tri-County League with some very good ball players. And we beat the Clovis Outlaws 1-0, and Mark Gardner was pitching, who went on to play 15 years for the San Francisco Giants, and as I understand, it's still and I hit that home run, that 1-0 home run, so I hit it off Mark Gardner, so that makes me feel like I can hit major league pitching. But anyway, he went ahead to sign, and he's had some great ball players. Shel Tarver played ball for us, and went on to play for the Boston Red Sox. So he's coached some, and there's a lot of other ones who have gone on to play Major League Baseball, and that's the caliber of man that this wonderful man is. So throughout this show, we're going to be giving a shout-out to you, Eddie. I love you, buddy, and I'm coming again to see you just as soon as I can. And back with me today, my favorite host, Mr. Gary Miguel. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Ray.
We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today. I really want to talk about Kavanaugh. I mean, this thing here, these people are reaching, aren't they?
They are.
They're reaching for something.
You know,
here.
Ray, you mentioned Gardner. Mm-hmm. Well, he married a local gal.
Oh, you know him. Oh, great, buddy.
Lemoore,
this guy knows everybody, by the way.
Anyway, she was an outstanding pitcher, softball there.
Oh, she was?
At Fresno State.
See, I didn't know that. I'm not surprised.
She has the softball field at the high school there in Lemoore is named after her.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I didn't know him other than playing in the Tri-County League.
And
playing
anyway, her family, I mean, it just goes way, way back. Mm-hmm. A long way.
Yeah, well, he was quite an athlete, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously.
And he's just a great guy.
His number is retired out of Clovis High School.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's on the wall. You go out there. I think it's in right field. I think his number, if I'm not mistaken,
right,
was Clovis number 15, I think. And I think that might have been his number in the major leagues. I can't remember.
He married that.
I
can't remember her name. I want to say Neil. Mm-hmm. And I knew her mother real well.
Eddie would know this. This is the kind of thing you'd know, Eddie, because Eddie knows everything.
And anyway, she died tragically of cancer at a very, very young age, and it was like liver. It was just unbelievable.
Oh, what a shame!
I mean,
what a waste of a young life.
Especially
As
such
it
a
is.
wonderful person that she was, and of course her and Mark. You know, I mean, what better could you have? You know,
One's a softball player, the other's a hardball player.
it was sad deal.
Well, what do you want to? Let's
Well,
talk. Let's talk about Kavanaugh.
Well, let's get into that. But I want to, you know, we mentioned Eddie.
Yeah.
I'm just so impressed with that story.
oh, you're going to hear some more today.
And I had I got a friend that I wanted to talk about as far as today's
Absolutely, buddy.
Patriot.
Okay,
You know?
make him he's our new American patriot. Who
Yeah.
is this guy?
Yeah.
If you know him, he must be special.
Well, his name is John Fagundes.
Oh, that name sounds familiar. Why do I know that name?
I don't know, but anyway, he's got he's probably in his 90s,
Oh,
you know.
uh-huh.
But anyway, this guy is unbelievable, and he's got probably the most diversified farm in Kings County.
Oh, tell us about it.
And all the
This
things
sounds
that he's
interesting
had,
already.
He raises turkeys. He has a dairy. Raises peaches, and
Oh, my
I think
gosh.
he's the largest kiwi packer in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And he makes cheese. He makes a specialty Portuguese cheese
Uh-huh.
that's marketed. It's a niche deal,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean the guy has just always been innovative, and he's not afraid of anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he even had a catfish farm at one time, and he's been a
I
land
love this, boy. You said diversify, boy.
and he's
he
been
has,
a
huh?
land leveler. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I probably don't know
Half the
half
things,
the
other
things that
things
he's
that he
done.
does, yeah.
Over the years, but he just runs an outstanding operation. He has two sons, Bruce and John Jr. Those guys are excellent.
Yeah.
I mean,
took
they
after
run
their
that
dad,
operation.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
One runs like the business part of it, the office, and the other one takes care of the field work. And both
What a
of
great
them,
combination.
and both of them are just awesome. As far as being competent and knowing
This
what
is
they're
our
doing.
other American patriot for
Right.
the day. Good.
Well, anyway, John is the reason why I'm mentioning him. He's also in the one of the leaders and the stalwarts in the Kings County Sheriff Posse.
Oh, wow.
They ride Palominos.
I
at
know they
every-
do. I know they do. Let me tell you something about that. I know I can't. I wanted to go out and get a Palomino just so I could ride with those
Oh,
boys.
man, I'll
I've
tell
seen
you.
them in parades. They
Oh.
look so good. The saddle matches the horses.
Oh, man.
They are so sharp when they come down.
Yep.
I actually, first time I saw them was probably 10 years ago. And then I heard they were in a parade at Hanford. That one day, I went all the way down there just
did
to
you?
see them. Yeah, just to see them.
Well, they've been in parades all over the state and
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. They've even been in the parade at the inauguration for a president. I think it was President Ford. Or
I think
something
it
like
was.
that.
I remember that. I think
remember
it was
that?
Ford. Yeah, I
Yeah,
followed them
well,
for years.
Anyway, this is a great group of guys that are part of the sheriff posse, and they
I'm
do.
serious, Gary. I wanted to get a Palomino and ride with him. I thought about it, man.
I'll tell you what, those guys. They do a lot for the community,
Yes, I heard-
and they
I
do a
understand
lot
they
of
do.
good for a lot of things. And it's something that if you're from Kings County, you're extremely proud of the Kings County Sheriff Posse. That's for sure.
Oh, they're famous.
Right.
They're very
Not only
famous.
are they look good, but those people are all good people.
Yeah.
And their
I'm
wives.
so glad you brought that up. I just love them. I had no idea
Yeah.
that you. Yeah.
And their wives are great. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole thing. It's just John invites me. I go to their deals and this and that. And
Well, I wanted to go. I want you. I'm gonna see. This is the way I'm gonna trap Gary. He's got to say yes now. He's on the radio show. I want to go next time you go to see them.
Yeah,
you
next
know?
time they have some kind of a
Please.
deal, I'll get a hold of you.
I will definitely go.
And I'll tell you, it's a great group of guys, and their wives help. I've noticed that, but they look good. They do these parades, and it's just a great outfit.
Oh, well, good. That's our other American patriot. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up.
And John has been the leader in things like and that kind of thing for.
And he's in his 90s.
forever.
What a wonderful legacy. Huh?
And I forget how he's close to that 90 deal. But anyway, the thing is about John Fagundes, all these things is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't a John Fagundes that really is a John Fagundes patriot that I'm wanting to talk about.
Okay.
That man is the most caring man you'll ever meet. Now, if you happen to be an employee of his, he's a hard taskmaster. I don't see how he keeps them. But he cares about them. And he cares about their families. He cares about their kids. And he cares about his friends. And he
Yeah.
cares about his family. I mean, I'm sitting there, and if he doesn't hear from me, he'll call me and say, "Are you all right?" I was thinking about you. I was like, are you okay? And you people have. It's hard to tell how many people John Fagundes has helped throughout the years.
He
And-
is an American patriot.
And I'll tell you what he'll do with, people, friends and stuff. If he thinks you're in trouble or there's something that's going on, if he finds out, you're going to get a call from John Fagundes, and he's here to help.
Oh,
The guy's
he
amazing. He's
is a
amazing.
true American patriot.
I mean, he's helped me at times when I've had kind of a hard time or something like that. I mean, he's helped me. It's just incredible. And I'm not the only one. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes all over. Let me tell you what else is neat.
Good. Let's talk about this man.
That's his wife, Polly. She's a sweetheart.
About the same age as he is.
She's younger, and she was worked for the ASC. She helped so many farmers in filling out forms, and so they are, what they're
Yeah.
entitled to and stuff. I mean, I remember back then. I mean, when you wanted something and you didn't quite know how to do it, you just go in and see Polly, and she is just an absolute sweetheart. So there's two people, and
She's our American patriot too.
yeah, she's our American patriot too, and I'll tell you, if you meet John, and
I hope to.
and I hope you do, because he's the kind of guy that, I mean, his friends. I'm not the only one. I mean, if he thinks that somebody's maybe sick or something, or having a problem with something, he's going to call you.
You cannot beat people like that.
Oh my God! I mean, I hadn't heard from him for maybe about a week. And he called and said, "Hey, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Everything's all right?" I said, "Yeah, John." He and I get together every Sunday for a coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
And
That same place you go to?
Yeah, that same place I go to every Sunday. We call it church. We go to church, Church of the Holy Donut.
I like that.
And, but anyway, he hasn't been feeling well the last couple weeks, but I talked to him the other day, and I said, "How was he doing?" And hopefully he's getting better, and we're going to go to lunch, and that's what we do. But he's that way with all his friends.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So he's my hero for this show.
Okay, that's good
Him
one,
and-
Gary. You couldn't. I'm so glad you
Him
brought
and
that up.
Polly, and I'll tell you what, you couldn't ask for a better family. He's so, I mean, he's raised those two boys. I mean, it's just incredible. They're great guys, and they belong to the posse, and they're very active. And,
Well, how super.
yeah, so I mean, how does it get any better than that? Having your sons in something that John loves. He
Yeah.
just loves that sheriff posse.
That is so awesome.
Isn't that see?
I just love those guys. I got to tell you something. You mentioned homemade cheese. I sold a mobile home a while back to this lady, and the night that we took it over there, the transporter that took it hit a wire. You're going to love this story. And he hit a wire, and he knocked out all the thing. And she says, "Oh my gosh, I've got to milk at 3:00 in the morning. How am I going to do this?" Well, two things happened. I happen to know somebody at PG&E who came out and was working on it. But what happened was we're coming up to the time that they're going to have to milk. So I called everybody I knew, and she did. We got about 20 people out there to milk those cows by hand. That was so much fun. I mean,
Really?
it was
Oh,
wonderful.
wow.
It was wonderful. So you know what she did the next morning? She made everybody breakfast, and she called me about 2 days later, and she said, "What are you doing for lunch?" And I said, "I don't know." She's Armenian, and I said, "You want me to come take you?" She's about 80 years old. I said, "I'll come take you to lunch at that little cafe." She said, "No, I want you to come by my house." Well, she makes homemade cheese.
Oh wow!
And her cheese is soft, Gary.
Right.
So you're talking about instant grilled cheese. She takes that stuff, and she gave me some. I'm going to go back and ask her for some more, too. And she spread it over the bread, and it was instant grilled cheese. I am not kidding you. And she made a bowl, Gary, of vegetable soup with zucchini and stuff in it. It was a lot of onions and with a tomato base. That was... I can't remember having a better lunch. That was wonderful. And I joked. I ran into her at Whole Foods in Fig Garden. And I said, "I got to tell you, I want some more of that cheese." And she said, "You come by Mr. John's anytime you want." And I said, I'm going next week to get some of that cheese. That was
I hear
wonderful
that.
stuff.
Yeah, in fact, next time if you come down there, we'll go to where John. They make cheese there.
I would
their own
love to
cheese.
do that, man. I would
And
absolutely.
They got it in stores all
Yeah.
over. Specialties.
Yeah.
And
Oh, how
but anyway,
super.
his son John is the one in charge of that part of it.
What a great organization.
Oh,
Huh?
it's great. They even raise turkeys.
That would be ideal, and they probably do this because I remember doing this in high school. or before high school. But that'd be an ideal place for a field trip for
Well,
some
sure
kids,
it
wouldn't
would,
it?
you know.
To see all those different things in one
Right.
place.
Yeah. I know, like, kiwi season will start here in another month or so, and they pack a lot of kiwis, and they raised even pumpkins and stuff like
Yeah.
that, you know. I mean, it just, they're hard-working people, and, but they're, and they're, like I say, they're taskmasters, but,
Yeah.
but man, do they take care of their employees, you know. It's just, I mean, right now, where they're concerned about whether some little kid gets a snot nose. Well, John's sitting there on the phone and says, hey, you need help, or you need this. That's that. It's just John.
You
Just the most.
cannot you can't
Well,
beat
he's the
people
most
like
caring guy I ever seen. I can't imagine it.
You cannot beat people like that.
So that's why I wanted to make sure and mention him today.
I'm glad you did, buddy. What a great, he and his wife, Polly was her name?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. So we have 3 American patriots
Right.
to talk about today. We're going to talk a lot about Eddie. And Eddie, I really hope you're watching. I hope your daughter's got you on. Steve Sidoti, I hope you're watching, buddy, back there in Arizona. Steve came up. Steve drove all the way out here on the most beautiful Indian motorcycle I have ever
really?
seen, and I've always liked those. I mean, I won't
Yeah.
ride one. But he is, I don't know what to say about Steve. Aside from being one of the best athletes I've ever been associated with, he's just a genuinely very neat person. And I got to talk to his wife, who, by the way, looks like Mrs. Trump.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he's married to this lady that is just absolutely gorgeous. And I got to say this: when we played baseball, I had to tell the guys the field's over here. Everybody's looking at this because she was so beautiful, and
I
she's
understand.
just absolutely stunning and a
understand.
wonderful person. They have
Yeah.
some wonderful children. Let's talk about Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I'll tell you what I think. This happened. It amazes me how these libtards, and I'm going to say it, are reaching. I mean, my goodness, you talk about something that happened, what, Gary, over 30 years ago.
Yeah, 36 years ago.
He was supposedly 17. She was 15 years old. There's no proof of absolutely anything. And, this guy who's an attorney, and I won't mention his name, although I think he'd let me, but I'm not going to, was talking to me at the gym today, and he came and we sat and talked early this morning, because I went in real early this morning, and he said something. I said, where do they get these people? And he says, I'll tell you where they get them. Listen to this. He said they'll go up to somebody that they knew actually did know somebody, and they'll say, look, we'll give you $100,000 to get out and if we can bring this out in public. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
I thought about that this is an attorney, when he said that. That's what these people are doing. That's where they're getting these people.
Well, it's all about the money. Here's
Sure
the thing
it is.
that you have to understand. 36 years ago, think about that. And just understand this. Number one, there is no proof that he was actually even there.
No, there's no proof of anything that I
now,
found.
here's what you'll notice. She doesn't know the date. She doesn't know when. So then how can he come up with a date and saying he wasn't there? Because she hasn't said it was on that date. So you see where she's got him, where he...
You know what
it
reminds me of?
No,
It reminds me of Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas.
Well, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. And
Yeah.
they didn't get away with it then. They're
No.
not going to get away with it now.
No.
But I'll tell you what it's going to do to Mr. Kavanaugh, and this makes me so damn mad. It's going to put a blemish on this great man's record.
Well, is it?
You know.
I guess it's not going to affect me at all.
No, it's not.
Is it going to affect you?
No, not at all.
Well, then who's it going to affect?
The libtards, if anybody.
If they even are affected.
Yeah. I just hate the fact that it's on his
Well,
record.
of course,
you know.
but you got to feel sorry not only for him, but you desperately got to feel sorry for his wife. You got
Yes,
to feel
that's
sorry
what I'm
for
saying.
his kids.
Yeah,
They
that's
have to
what I'm
go
saying.
through this.
Yeah.
Okay.
For nothing. For
nothing.
absolutely nothing.
And something that she's not gonna come out well with this.
I am so tired of this.
Yeah.
I am so tired of these liberals doing this kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. I wasn't happy when Obama was elected. I wasn't happy at all, but I went out there demonstrating and burning cars and trying to discredit people. And the Republican Party did not do that.
Right. Well, it's actually hurting the Democrat Party more than it's hurting the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah. I know
Okay,
exactly
I'll
what
give
you
you an
said.
example.
Okay, yeah.
CNN, and what's his name? Anderson Cooper.
Oh, my goodness.
They had 5 gals that they interviewed, 5 women, and thinking that these 5 women were going to be on her side.
And continue.
Now, you gotta
and
imagine.
continue to discredit Kavanaugh.
This is CNN,
Oh.
which is anti-American
Oh, yeah.
or anti-Trump and everything
Yeah.
else. Okay, now they picked these 5 women. Now they picked those 5 women. They're going to be hoping and thinking.
Sure.
So they were asked the question about Kavanaugh, and none of the women, none of those 5 came in defense of that girl.
Oh, isn't that great?
Well, so
But they didn't have anything. What did they have?
Well, come on now, let's think about that. Don't you think that is also in the minds of everybody that's listening to that?
Sure.
I mean, it has hurt the Democrats like you can't
It's
believe.
made them look like idiots.
Made them look like idiots. Now, he goes through that, but let's just think for a minute. Go back to Clarence Thomas, which Anita Hill put him through all that.
Oh.
But seriously, is there any blemish on Clarence Thomas?
He's a great Chief Justice,
I mean, what I'm getting at, that is not going to, on the long run, outside of this uncomfortable part that we have to go through right now.
And like you said, that his family has to go through, which I hate.
Right.
For nothing.
Right. And so what it does is expose the Democrats for what they really are. I mean, this like Feinstein. She had that letter since last July. Why does she bring that up now?
Because
they have no proof.
Yeah.
Okay, now think about this. At that time, if that was so traumatic at that moment that she supposedly had with Kavanaugh, but it may not have been Kavanaugh, but let's just say if it was so dramatic as she claims it was or is, wouldn't you think she'd go to the police right off the bat?
Most normal people would.
Well, most normal people would. But let's say she didn't go to the police. Wouldn't you think her parents would go to the police? And they didn't.
So what does that tell you?
What does that tell you? It's back to what
when you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, the darn thing probably never happened anyway. And
well, it may have happened to her.
Yeah.
And she may have had a lot of those.
Yeah.
But they may have been invited.
Over 30 years ago. Are you kidding me?
I mean, all of a sudden, it's coming out a little bit more and more about her reputation, and it isn't very good.
No, it's not. Everything, and I've been following it,
you've been
doing
following that,
doing a little due diligence, and you're right, Gary.
Yeah.
It's not looking good on her part.
It's a sad deal for the Kavanaugh family. It's a sad deal for America.
Yes, it is.
And very sad deal for America. But it exposes the Democrats for what they really, really are.
Yeah.
And people can see firsthand. Mm-hmm. And it's not gone over well for their side.
Yeah.
Okay, now, which brings me up to something that I think that we have a hard time with sometimes, a Democrat-Republican, Democrat-Republican. Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of... The country is actually, there's two elements. There's the people of the people that we are Americans.
Yeah.
And then you have this other side, which is the globalists, which
mm-hmm.
happens to be the Democrats, mm-hmm. which also happens to be the liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we get confused in that.
Sure.
So looking at a bigger picture, let's just say, can we define what a globalist is? Who are the globalists? And then who are the nationalists?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do that, so let's just start from a broad brush.
Okay.
And let's just say globalists are Democrats.
Okay. That makes it easy.
Nationalists are Republicans.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you could be a Republican and be a globalist,
mm-hmm.
just as you could be a Democrat and be a nationalist.
Sure.
Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be many Democrats that are nationalists.
Yeah.
But there are Republicans that are globalists.
We're finding that out every day.
We're going to find that out every day. Okay, so let's look at the globalists then and see what they really represent. Globalists are the establishment elite, and it also includes foreigners like the Rothschild family. And they're the established elite of the billionaires.
Like Soros.
Like Soros and so forth. These are all globalists. They're in it for themselves.
Sure they are.
And they own Congress, and they own the Senate, and they own the lobbyists,
And like Soros, they own the
Right.
media.
And they own the media. Well, they definitely own the media.
Yeah, they definitely own. That's where you get your
And
false
they,
news.
they then pay these people. So then what does that mean, the rank and file? Let's say you're a rank and file Democrat, and at whatever level, you could be a protester or you could just be one. You are the useful idiots. And you look up the word useful idiot, and that'll explain what you are if you happen to be a Democrat.
Yeah.
You might be a great person and all that, but you are being used
Sure.
by these people and have been forever since.
Jerry refers to them as useful idiots. I refer to them as useless idiots. I like to say, hey, useless, but they're one and the same.
They're one and the same.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what these people are, you take a libtards that are in that. I mean, you look at their faces on TV and stuff. These people go by feeling, and feelings is fact to them.
Yeah.
How they feel is fact.
Yeah.
Facts are not facts to them. You can come up with all the facts in the world, but if they don't feel that, they ignore that.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Now, if you go to, there's no common sense there, which we've talked about that. So it's all feeling, nothing to do with facts. Facts doesn't mean anything as long as I feel this way.
Yeah.
Okay, now you go to the other side, which is the nationalists, which is like Trump, and that group, these people are America first. These other people
Absolutely.
are anti-American.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care how innocent you think you are, but if you're a Democrat, you're not innocent to me.
No, not at all. I
Like,
agree with you
you're-
totally.
you're-
Great statement. I
you're-
agree with you totally.
Yeah, either you're a useful idiot or you do know what you're doing, and which means that you're anti-American.
Absolutely. That's even worse.
That's even worse.
Gary, we're going to take a little break, but before we do, I just want to give another shout out to Eddie. Eddie, I hope you're watching, and when we're going to come back, I want to talk about a certain member of your family who contributed to the Madeira Merchants a great deal, and I want to thank him. I never had a chance to thank him, but I'm going to do that when we come back. I really hope he's watching, and we'll be back here in a couple of minutes. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, in two.
I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota.
Okay, I'm back with Gary, but I want to give a shout out to somebody that's associated with Gary, and that's this man is married to Eddie's oldest daughter, Mary, who is just an angel, like everybody else in his family, his wife and all his daughters and his sons, who are princes, by the way, all of them. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Dan, because Dan, I can't remember how many barbecues I went over there that he came on. He loves Eddie. He loves the family. He's a major part of that family. He's a major part of the community. I understand at one time he was head of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. He's just a very busy man and a very successful man. And Dan, from my part, buddy, all those years, all those barbecues that we had, thank you. What a great man he is. You know, that whole family, anyone associated with Eddie Chapa is a great person. I'm glad I'm associated with him. That might put me in that category also. But, Eddie, I hope you're having a good day, and I certainly hope you're watching. We're going to keep yelling and giving your praises, buddy, because you deserve it. Okay, Gary, what are we talking about? Kavanaugh?
Well, we're talking about the
Globalists,
trying to
yeah.
keep it simple.
Okay.
But if you start thinking in terms of and find out the description of what the globalists are and what they have been. This goes back, Rothschilds and stuff. It's not just Americans. But listen, they have bought the Congress and the Senate of the United States. It is owned by the globalists. The media is owned by the globalists.
Yeah, the media, without a
Right.
doubt, yeah.
Now, the fact that we've been able to get this far is amazing.
Sure it
and
is.
it had there's only one man in the world that you could have done that, and that's Donald Trump.
Absolutely. No one else could have
No
done
one
that.
else
No
could have
one
done
could
that, right?
With all the power and everything
Well,
against
it's
him.
it's almost like, it's like if you believe in that, it's almost like God put him here for us,
Mm-hmm.
And
I wish more people understood that,
Well,
and they're starting to.
and they're starting to. And I mean, I look at that walk away, and it's just more and more people are walking away. Well, because the globalists do not represent you as an American.
Of course they don't.
You happen to be their fodder, if you will, or
Sure.
their useful idiot, or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Then you're being used. It's just like how about all the blacks all these years? We talked about it,
Sure
or
we
I
did.
sent you an email. Ray, do you? I mean,
Oh, I know. I read it. I
you
know the
read
one
that?
yeah.
The blacks were slaves forever.
Yeah.
Now they're finally free. Why do they want to be enslaved again?
Yeah.
I don't see how any black could vote for a Democrat.
I just talked to Susan. I love the gym. Half the time I don't get to work because so many people want to come by and talk to me. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter where I'm at. They all know me as the Trump man.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
wear my
right.
Trump shirt every
Yeah.
day to the gym. I wear my 2016s in the gym and my 2020s are out. So
Yeah.
everybody when I go in they go, the Trump man's here. So they all come and talk to me about different things. So I was talking to this guy the other day. And he happens to be African American who was a Democrat and now he's a Republican. And he said, it took me so long to see the light. It took me so long. And he said, part of it was, and this is the sad thing, part of it was my family. It was like I didn't want to go against my family.
Well,
and you know what, Gary, there must be a lot of people like that.
Well, let me tell you, to their credit, I had a black lady tell me this one time meeting not long ago.
Mm-hmm.
She says, one thing about the black people, she said, they are very, very loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a compliment to a group of people.
Yeah.
So, I admire that loyalty, obviously,
But it's to a fault, Gary.
but it can be to a detriment to their
Sure,
own well-being,
absolutely.
which it has been.
Absolutely it has.
Yeah. So there's a time when yes, it's great to be loyal, but be loyal to where it's not to your detriment,
Which it is.
which it has been.
Certainly it has.
And had been sold a bill of goods.
Yeah.
And I see this point right now as when Dr. Luther King, which I went to one of his speeches there at Ratcliffe Stadium years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Well, they had
I know he was here
they had a
more than once.
Fresno State had this baseball player. He's a good friend of mine, and he was a black guy. And he asked me one day, he says, "Hey, you want to go to Dr. King?"
Was that Lynn Tucker?
No, I forget his name,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't that. Anyway, so we go down there, and I said, "Yeah, I'd like to do that." And went down, and man, he was Dr. Luther King. If you ever I get to see him in person. Let's put
Oh
it that
man,
way.
how
okay?
awesome! I've
That's
heard
like
all
going
of his.
to a Trump rally.
I've
you
heard
know?
all of his speeches. A bunch of them. That
Yeah.
are just.
Well, anyway, when he said, his famous thing was "free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, and free at last." No, you're not free, but you have a chance to get free now.
Yeah.
With Trump.
Yeah.
Actually, there was never as free as it can be right now.
And and there's people are starting, like you said, they're starting to wake up and see, and smell the coffee.
Well, Ray, you understand the definition of a globalist and what that is. It's all for them.
Sure.
And they've been. That's why this country lost 70,000 factories.
Yeah.
Because
Can
it
you
was,
imagine
and they were
70,000?
ripping. This is why Trump's putting these tariffs and all that, because they've been ripping us off all this time.
I love what's happening with China.
Well, not
you
just
know.
blacks, but whites and everybody
Yeah,
else. Okay,
yeah.
but my point is, this is our opportunity now, and it's an opportunity for the blacks to finally get out of slavery.
No.
I mean, with them getting out, of course, we all get out.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's their opportunity. I don't see how a black person that understands this could possibly vote for a Democrat, because it's against what they.
I
the best
told
interest.
somebody, I said, rather than just listen to CNN or, they believe what they hear, what they see, what other people
Well,
say.
of course.
Instead of doing like I tell you every week, you got to do your own. Don't take my word for it. Don't
Yeah.
take Gary's word for it.
Right.
Do your own due diligence. That's what Gary does, and that's why he sends me all these outstanding emails that make sense. And you cannot believe what you hear and see, and Gary will back me up on that.
Oh,
You
my
can't.
God, you can't believe a thing of it.
Look at the false media. Look at the things they've come up with. I mean, Russia was a perfect example. Turned out to be nothing, but they had
Yeah.
half the country
Oh,
up in arms against Donald Trump.
Well,
you know.
that's a battle that had Donald Trump had a media that favored him, like they favor the I call them the communists or the whatever
Socialists or
Marxists
whatever, yeah.
whatever. Well, he'd probably have a rating of 95%
Sure,
right now.
sure. Oh, of course he would.
But let's talk about this part of how Trump has got it over on him right now. Okay, because this is
Yeah, explain that, Garrett.
yeah. Okay, look, Trump's whole deal is leverage. You notice how we're getting along with North Korea now? I mean, it's
That's just
it's
one. Yeah,
it's
it
hard to
is.
believe, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, because when he went in there, we're looking at going to war with Korea.
Oh yeah, he was. The guy was
Yeah.
standing up and threatening and being defiant. And
Oh
just,
my
you know,
God! We're
everything.
looking at it.
Look at him now.
Yeah,
you know?
but we had everything there ready to start a war.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody thought was going to happen.
Yeah,
But look what Trump turns it into.
sure.
Yeah.
I think they ought to give the man the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well-
People get mad when I say that, but I really do.
Well,
look at everything that's happening in the Middle
Well,
East.
why
you know?
wouldn't he? I mean,
Yeah. You know, we may never see this, but there's going to be peace someday in the Middle East, and it
Well,
started with Donald Trump.
He got
Remember,
peace,
I said
peace
that.
going all over the place, but you got to remember that his whole deal is America first.
Sure.
But what does he tell their leaders? He tells them the same thing. He says, "Hey, you guys, Poland first. You guys, Mexico first.
Yeah.
You guys all do the same thing.
Yeah,
For your people,
absolutely.
because Trump's all about the people.
Sure, he is.
Okay. Well, so is the Republican Party in the sense that you and I walk in the street, but we have what they call the rhinos, Republicans. Well, they're just as bought off as the Democrat
Of course they are, and
politicians.
there's a lot of them too.
And there's a lot of them. Okay, but Trump needs this midterm. He needs that midterm to be Republican House and a
So he can take a total control.
well, so he can get done what he said he
Yeah.
was going to get done. The agenda.
Yeah, like his appointees for judgeship, or
Yeah,
he's getting all these
and-
people in place. you
Well,
know?
and then the things that he promised was like the wall. He wants to see that completed. You see, things like that. Okay, and he wants to get the Obamacare out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, he needs Republicans to do that.
Sure he does.
Because if you vote for a Democrat, I guarantee you 100%. I don't care what he tells you in his ads or his videos or whatever, or what he tells you right sitting down at a coffee shop. He will have to vote with every Democrat 100%, which is a vote for the globalists.
Absolutely.
And there's trillions involved.
Yeah.
So what Trump wants to do is take those trillions that these guys been getting and transfer that trillions to the United States. Okay, a lady just yesterday.
You think the economy's good now? Wait until we do that.
Well, I mean, it just.
Jeez.
And this lady yesterday, she says, I got up this morning, I cleaned house, and I did this, and I watched TV, and I sat down, and she kind of described what she did. I went to the store, and she said, but I'm also, my 401k went up $2,800.
I love these stories.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's affected everybody.
What do
now.
you contribute that
Why
to?
would you want
know?
to end that?
Yeah.
Why would you sit there and vote the other way
Yeah.
and have all that come to an end?
You know what it brings me back to? Remember we had the lady who had the three little children, and she was the divorced mother of three, who I asked, we talked to her about the pursuit of happiness, and and she said I don't have time to do the pursuit. This before Donald Trump was elected.
Yeah.
I don't have time to. For the pursuit of happiness, I've got 3 children to feed, and I'm working 3 jobs. Well, then she calls back after Donald Trump had been in office for 2 or 3 months. She's down to 1 job. She's making more money than she made with the 3. She's able to do things with her children. She is pursuing happiness. I love that story. I just love it.
And that story goes on and on. But,
it does.
But so let's look at where we're at as far as the midterms and why it's so important. Trump is going to these. He's going to rally going tonight. How that guy had to be because it's on East Coast time. He had to be up at least at 6 in the morning.
He's tireless,
and he's putting a rally in the Western time zone.
He's
in
like
Las
74 years old.
I mean, look at and now he's
amazing.
going to sit there and do whatever he's doing all day today, and now he's going to be in Missouri.
When does he sleep?
I don't know.
Donald Trump sleep?
I wonder about that myself.
He's tweeting at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't think the man sleeps.
But what's got people worried a little bit right now, and is that Trump said that he was going to declassify this FISA thing.
Oh yeah.
The Department of Justice.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to declassify it, which means now the public would see all the names and everything, right? Well, we all want that.
Sure.
Transparency. Okay, then all of a sudden, Trump gets a couple calls from foreign leaders that may be careful with that because, somebody's liable to get hurt.
Yeah.
Innocent person with that. So Trump says he's going to put off that declassification. Disappoints a lot of people, but why? But that's where he gets the leverage. Let me explain it this way, Ray. If he declassified that, all of a sudden the attention would go into that, and you'd have both Republicans and Democrats, and he needs those Republicans.
Yeah.
But isn't it better to have that specter over their head that, because he knows everything.
Yeah.
He knows what all that is,
Oh,
and he
no,
knows
right,
who it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it better than us to get embroiled right now into that when we're getting this close to the
Sure.
election?
Yeah.
So guess what? They have to be quiet, and it silences them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, because you're sitting there, you're saying, "Oh my God, I wonder if I'm in there. I better keep my mouth shut."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now, think about having that over your head every night when you go to bed,
Sure.
wondering if you're not one of the ones.
One of the
that's-
ones, yeah.
You see, so that is hanging over all these people's heads.
Is my head going to roll?
Is
Yeah.
my head going to roll? In the meantime, what's he doing? Replacing judges, replacing judges, replacing
getting judges in place, so that when he makes these moves and these
There you
people
go.
go to jail, they will or come before the
Yeah.
courts. They will be convicted.
Yeah,
They will-
okay, now
I
we're-
think it's beautiful.
Okay, now we're roughly a month and a half, let's call it,
To the election.
to the election. Now, does it make any difference to you, really, whether those people and all that disclosure is today or after the election? Of course not.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So, but in the meantime, what happens if you were one of the bad guys?
Oh my gosh!
Can you imagine what you're having to go through right now?
Day after day.
What if you're running for re-election and you're one of the bad guys?
Yeah.
Are they going to? Is Trump going to spring that before or after?
Oh, yeah.
And they don't know.
And I think it's beautiful.
Well, of
He's
course.
just keeping them right where he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called leverage.
Yeah.
And he's got a whole book on that,
Yeah.
you know. And that's how he does everything. That's how he's done the
Sure.
tariffs with China, with
Sure.
Canada, with any.
And look at the results he's gotten.
United
Look-
Nations, you
Look at
name
the
it.
results he's gotten with his leverage.
That's-
Phenomenal.
He uses the leverage, and there's nobody better at using leverage or knows how to do it than he does. So what he has right now is the benefit of leverage, and that's what the leverage is. It's over the Democrats, basically neutering them. All they got left is something like that ding dong girl coming up with a
Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's why everybody asks me, what do I think?
Yeah.
And I get that question 20 times a day, and I said, they're reaching. That's
Right.
all they can. They're reaching. They have nothing, and they're just reaching.
Yeah, okay, that gal is not going to change one vote that would have been
No.
one way or another anyway.
No.
Now they may blame it on that,
Yeah.
but that vote was not going to change.
No.
So you
No,
got
I agree
somebody.
with you totally, Gary.
Yeah, somebody says, "Well, I voted no against
He
Kavanaugh."
will be confirmed. There's no doubt about it.
Well,
in my
the
mind.
point is, let's say that somebody I voted against Kavanaugh because of that gal. Listen, that person was going to vote against Kavanaugh
Sure.
anyway.
Sure.
So anyway,
And they'll use that as an excuse.
yeah,
because
and
they
the
think it
sad
hurts
part
Trump.
about it is that what it does to the Kavanaugh himself and his family
That's
and
the
his
sad part.
and
That's
his
the blemish.
girls, you know,
Yeah.
his kids. Well, that's a sad thing about America.
Sure.
It's a black mark on America. But
Yeah.
who did that? Dianne Feinstein and her Democrat Party. So how can you be proud of a Democrat Party that does things like
Well, you
that?
know, it amazes me. It does, Gary. Like you and I both said, of course, like we say, they're reaching. It amazes me that they would even do it. I mean, I mean, if they looked forward and saw what was going to happen, they would realize it's not going to work.
Well, you have to understand that the Democrat leadership, those people are evil, mean, and miserable.
They prove that.
And they prove that over and over. I mean, look at that Dianne Feinstein. For 20 years, she had a spy as her driver in China, and those people, the Feinsteins, they had businesses in China.
But how much of that wasn't blown out of the water in the news, was it? Because the
media
they covered
is,
it up.
The media, you might say.
Jeez.
I remember when I was a kid reading about Pravda, you know, which okay, well, our media is every bit as vicious as and indoctrinating propaganda or whatever you want to call it, every bit as much as Pravda.
Oh, absolutely.
And it
If
is
not more so.
and it's the enemy of the people.
Yeah.
I mean, when you turn your TV on and you go from this station, that station, and you're hearing the same talking points, it's like it's in coordination or collaboration And you're hearing the same thing no matter which one.
I took a note from you a long time ago. I will not watch CNN.
Yeah.
I won't watch it. I will not. I refuse to watch it. I've got friends that they watch it because they said, "Well, we just want to see what the other side's doing." Maybe, and that's great if that's what you want. I don't want to hear it.
Well, I mean, it's so disgusting. I won't hear it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I will not watch it. No.
to me, it is. It's disgusting. So I sit there. I say, well, why am I going to
Yeah.
make myself miserable when I can make myself happy?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and I get my news on the internet anyway.
I do too.
And
I do
so,
too. That's what I do.
But Ray, the thing is that right now, Trump has this. I mean, it's under control. And think about the leverage that he has with this disclosing these names and so forth. Yeah, he could do it now, but then that would put the attention on that,
As opposed to the election.
and he doesn't have
Yeah.
the judges quite there yet.
Yeah.
So it's to his advantage to
Sure.
wait until after
That's
the.
exactly what he's doing.
And what did the Democrats want? The Democrats wanted Trump not to disclose that, right?
Of course they do.
And they wanted it, but now, watch that change. Because now they realize that, hey, wait a minute, this guy knows everything and everyone. And also, he knows who would come out of that are Republicans. And these Democrats, how do they get back to these Republicans?
Yeah, he's just sitting there, and there. You know, it reminds me of when I was a kid. My parents took off and went to Arizona, right? And I was about 15 years old. And I was real proud because they left me in charge of my little brother. You know, and they said, "Now you're responsible for this. Here's a credit card. You need anything? Your mom's filled the house with food." He says, "Here's some money if you guys want to go out and eat." You know, left us in charge. Well, my brother and I were tossing a baseball around and broke the big old picture window in front of the house.
Wow.
So I thought, oh my gosh, they've given us all this money. We'll get the window fixed, you know. So sure enough, we got the window fixed. We didn't tell him anything. Dad comes back. Must have been 2 weeks later. He's in town. You know how the old farmers would go to Farnesi's. They're all sitting around.
Oh,
talking.
yeah.
Guy comes in. He goes, "Tom, how'd you like that new glass we put in your window while you were going to Arizona?" So when he comes home, he goes, he says, "So what happened with the window?" And of course, we told him, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, "Dad, how did you find out about that?" He said, "I'm not going to tell you." He said, "I'm not going to tell you." He says, "That way you'll wonder that always that I know something that you don't."
Yeah,
that's kind of like Trump.
Well, exactly
you know?
what
It's kind of like Trump.
Yeah, so he had leverage from there on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's what is happening right now. So people get a little nervous about, well, why doesn't he disclose? I know why he doesn't disclose it, because it's not going to benefit if he discloses
Sure.
it now. It benefits more of everybody out there knowing that he knows, and knowing that eventually it's going to come out, but not today.
Yeah.
And so what he wants to keep the focus on, he wants to keep the focus on the midterms, and not
Sure.
and because he knows he doesn't have a press behind him, so he has to keep. Can you imagine what the press would do if he disclosed all these? And they'd be on.
Oh
that
my
and,
gosh,
gee.
Gary, it would be outrageous. I can't even imagine what would happen to people.
So this way he keeps it on. He's going to put on all these rallies, which these things keep getting bigger and more exciting every time. I mean, he's having one today. I can't wait to get home.
I
and
can't
watch
either.
it.
I can't.
You know what
I want
mean?
to see it.
And so.
What time is that, Gary?
It's
6, isn't it?
Well, it's 4:30. It's 4:30 our time.
Oh, good.
But which means 5:30 Trump time, because he's always an hour late.
Yeah.
And so what happens is by doing this, the hope is that it energizes the Republicans so that they get out and vote. Because it's going to take that. Now, the only difference with that is we're voting locally.
Yeah.
All these places all over the United States. So it's a local candidate. But you'll notice what Trump does. He goes to these rallies and he's supporting a particular candidate or 2 or 3, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, what he also does is in his tweets and stuff, he'll say, Ray Johns at Fresno, he's running, and I support Ray Johns. I endorse. He has my full endorsement.
Yeah.
So that's how he's trying to do that, so that that the voter who is a Trumper will attach him, their candidate, attach him to Trump.
Sure.
And Trump's asking for help, meaning a vote, and so they'll go down and vote and
Yeah.
not stay home.
Yeah.
And that's the strategy. In essence, of what he's trying to do is get, because he's got such popularity.
Yeah.
with among his
Sure.
people, but he needs those people to go vote.
Yeah.
He can't have those people sit there. Yeah, I support you, and then sit at home and not. But I don't like the Republican candidate. So he sits home. No, go vote for that Republican.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please do
Yeah,
that.
it's important that he has a Republican control of the House and Senate. Now, a lot of those people may not be there after the election once this, but there's going to be a lot of Democrats that aren't going to be there either.
Yeah, yeah. He's
But
gonna
the
be
important
very
thing
popular.
the only thing is from a Trumper, if you're a Trumper, even if you're not into politics, but you voted for Trump, or if you didn't vote, you said, well, I'd vote for him this time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's important that you get to vote, that you do vote on this midterm because you are voting for Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Okay, when you vote for Donald Trump, who are you really voting for? You're voting for the American
You're
people.
voting for yourself. You're voting for
Exactly.
the
There you go.
The American people. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I say this every time Gary's on. It flies by. I can't believe we're out of time. Before I get into my final thing, I'm going to ask Gary if he'll come back next week because I hope he will. You think you can make it, buddy?
Yeah, we'll have fun next week.
Yeah, we'll have fun. He's always got a lot. It's always fun with him. I have to tell you, every single week I always tell people to go up and Gary gave me such a great compliment last week. I got to tell you, Gary, I stopped in to grab something at I forgot that little Japanese place over there on Cedar and Herndon. Great place to eat. And a big tall policeman came in there. Tall guy. He looked like and I was teasing him. He was behind me. I said, I'm looking up at him like this. I said, I bet you don't have any problem slam dunking. He said, I do now. I don't have any knees. And we were laughing and talking. And I told him how much I appreciated him. And man, the look came over his face. And he said, we never hear that. If we do, it's rare. And he said, thank you so much. And so it's like I told Gary last week, it's come full circle. I've had policemen, guy got out of his car and said, are you the Trump man? I love being called the Trump man.
Yeah.
It's what I'm known at the gym, the Trump man. And I said, I most certainly am. And he said, well, I want to thank you. And I said, for what? And he said, for what you do on your show. He said, I want to thank you for, so it's come all the way circle now. So now
wonderful.
Policemen are starting to, and so when you see one, please go up, shake his hand, tell him how much we appreciate what they do because they have a thankless job. No one thanks them, and we do appreciate them. Thank God they're there.
From a selfish standpoint, you feel good.
Absolutely. Gary's done it, and you said that. You feel absolutely wonderful. Eddie, buddy, I hope you're having a great, great time today. I hope you're feeling good. Think about all them games we played, man, and keep telling those wonderful baseball stories. I love them. I want to come up and see you real soon so you can tell me some more. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet joyously again next Friday at 3:00, heaven's blessings.
To the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American.
CentralValleyTalk.com